watching Sports Extra Overtime, sponsored by Academy of Screen Printing and Awards.
Welcome back to Sports Extra Overtime. It's now time to take a deep dive into the big games of the night. We're in our Sports Extra Overtime locker room, and we welcome to our studio John Camosa, who called tonight's game at Normal Community for Clutch Sports Media. But we got a couple of big matchups tonight between the Big 12 Conference and the Central State 8. John, let's start first at the game in Peoria, at Peoria Stadium. Peoria High and Rochester, and really a result that I'm not sure any of us really saw. A very one-sided win for Rochester.
No, not at all. Debuting that brand new turf field at Peoria Stadium in Rochester, they opened up the door early and did not slow down in this game. Eli Carlson for Rochester had 3 touchdowns in the first half to build a commanding 33-0 lead at halftime. From there, they didn't slow down. Another touchdown added there by Nolan Morawski put him up, and 40-14 final, not something we saw coming.
Yeah, we saw that there were a lot of turnovers in the game. The Lions just could never really get things going. And this was a matchup between the number 2 team in one poll against the number 2 team in another poll. We thought this might be the best game in the state. It just didn't happen.
It didn't happen tonight. Rochester number 2 in 4A, Peoria High number 2 in 5A, runner-up last year in the state championship game, but those early turnovers hurt. 5 in the first half really came back to bite the Lions, and Rochester capitalized on every single one of those.
Yeah, they surely did, and they're showing why they are a team that year in and year out finds itself in the state quarterfinals and the state semifinals and winning state championships. But the good thing is, I guess, for Peoria High, this is week 1. There's time to recover from this.
Yeah, it certainly can. I think this type of loss to open up the season, you can build off of it. It's going to motivate Peoria High and Coach Tim Thornton. I think going forward, this type of loss against a really talented Rochester team motivates them even more.
All right, let's talk about the other game between the two conferences in the Big 12 and the Central State 8. Normal Community just lays the wood on Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin. We do not see that often in this state, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And these are 2 games back and forth we thought would be down to the wire, high-powered games, but Normal Community, they opened it up early. They got an early 28-7 lead. A long, hour-long lightning delay at 6:44 in the second quarter, and then from there in the second half, they tacked on another 20 points after having a 34-7 lead. It was all Normal Community, thanks to their defense and Tommy Davis and Kyle Beatty's offense.
And well, the Ironmen wanted to test themselves in the first week, see where they measure up, and they have passed this test in a huge way.
Yeah, certainly did. Every time SHG got a little bit of momentum, some flags hurt them, and that kind of partially comes to losing 19 starters from last year's state championship team, building some new guys into the rotation, and you see right in these highlights, Normal Community's just stout defense, a lot of big tackles in this game. Tommy Davis with a touchdown, and then really that defense, we touch on that again, 2 pick sixes, one by Aiden Bounty and one by Brady Augustin that put them up 20-7 and then 34-7. That was to close out the second quarter.
Just a gigantic win for Jason Drangwitz and the Normal Community Ironmen. John, good to have you back. Thanks for joining us. You can follow John on Twitter at JCOM91. Now let's send it across the studio to Patrick Cunningham. He's got a look at a big season opener in the Big 12 Conference in the Twin Cities.
Thank you, Kurt. Joining us now is Steve Cease from our Twin Cities newsroom. You can follow him on Twitter at Prof Cease for score updates. Steve was in Bloomington for the Big 12 Conference opener for Peoria Richwoods and Bloomington High School. Steve, versatile tonight. You had a 101-degree press box, and then you had a game delayed for a while due to rain. So how are you holding up?
Yeah, honestly, Patrick, it was typical week 1. To be honest, when this game started, it was kind of sloppy offense from both teams. Yes, Bloomington got out to an early 14-0 lead, but a lot of that was due to a short field because of some special teams and turnovers by the Knights. And then the storms came. We had about an hour and 45-minute lightning delay at that point. And I'll tell you what, whatever Coach Godfrey said to his Raiders in the locker room during that hour and 45 minutes worked. There were about 8 minutes left in the half when we came back from that weather delay, and the Raiders proceeded to score 4 touchdowns before halftime to get that clock running when they got back from the half. Listen to these stats. A.J. Cadron, the quarterback for the Bloomington Raiders, he was 1 for 8 before that weather delay. He came back, he was 6 for 8 and threw 3 touchdowns after that weather delay. And I'll tell you what, he really spread the love today as well. 4 different Raiders carried the ball into the end zone before the halftime. So big congrats to those 4. Kevion Chestnut, Keontae Hamilton, Rob Lanier, and Cam Smith all getting into the end zone. And again, A.J. Cadron with those 3 touchdown passes as well.
Well, like you said, coming out of that delay, it just seemed like they turned on a switch. Watching the game, did it seem like they were doing anything different, or did it just seem like all the first game jitters were out of the way and they really just locked in?
Yeah, could have just been jitters, could have been shaking the cobwebs off. And honestly, Richwoods, give them credit, they played great defense before that weather delay, but the short fields and turnovers really caught up with the Knights. Credit the Bloomington defense tonight. Yes, we just gave a lot of praise to the offense, but honestly, the defense did an awesome job. They forced 4 turnovers before that running clock at halftime, and the Knights only had 25 yards of total offense at the half. 17 of those yards came on a fake punt, so it was the special teams and not the defense giving up that yardage. So the Bloomington defense really came out hard hitting today, specifically after that weather delay.
Well, and Steve, last year this was a game that both of them needed to win because last year they both missed the playoffs, so this would have been a huge stepping stone. Bloomington, 41-0 win. What does that do for their confidence as they head into next week? And they're facing the Big 12 defending champ, Normal West Wildcats.
Yeah, Patrick, this was exactly what the Raiders needed heading into next week's game against Normal West. They know that's going to be a huge target for them to have a winning season this year. If they can go out and they can upset the state-ranked Wildcats, the Big 12 favorites a lot of folks are thinking this year, Bloomington could be thinking playoffs after starting the year 2-0. That said, it's going to be a tough task. Normal West is very good, and the Raiders are going to have a tougher task ahead of them than they did tonight against Richwoods.
Thank you, Steve.